Hello and welcome to the Political Brief. I'm Florence Villeneuve.
And I'm Molly Hall. Coming up in today's show, a new year, a new France. Emmanuel Macron vows to push ahead with his reform agenda and lead the country to a brighter future.
But pressing issues like immigration and a reform to the pension system could slow the president down. We take a look at what's in store for 2018.
It's the start of a new year, and for many that means new goals and resolutions. Well, that's certainly the case for Emmanuel Macron. In his televised New Year's Eve address to the French public, he said he wanted 2018 to usher in a French renaissance.
Through your choices in 2017, you have profoundly renewed our political life, and you have allowed a deep transformation of our country to take place. These deep transformations have begun, and they will continue with the same strength and the same rhythm in 2018.
Now, the president isn't only wanting to focus on France. He wants transformation to spread across Europe as well.
My dear fellow European citizens, 2018 is a very special year, and I will certainly need your help and support this year. I truly believe that Europe can become an economic, social, ecological, and scientific power that can face China and the United States, and carry those values that made us, which are our common history. I need your determination in order to make this European leap forward. I need that together we do not cede anything to nationalists or skeptics.
Also, then the president trying to push back against skeptics, but some French MPs were skeptical of Macron's speech, saying what the president says and does are two different things.
I always thought that Emmanuel Macron was a bit the Mr. K of politics. You know, the snake from the Jungle Book, who looks at you and tries to hypnotize you. He tried that again. And every time there's a lot of blabber, and at the end, the words are always contradicted by his actions.
Now, throughout this first week of January, the president has greeted with various groups to wish them best wishes for this new year. This is known as les vœux in France, and it's a tradition that goes back to the start of the Fifth Republic. Now, Emmanuel Macron has tried to break with tradition during his presidency, but he has brought back one tradition that his predecessor had actually phased out, and this is les vœux à la presse, or New Year's wishes to the press. And you were actually there, Molly.
That's right, indeed. And we had the president who said that the entire model of journalism is under attack. And as a result, the underlying base of democracies is shifting. Now, he called for a law against fake news, especially during elections.
We're going
to make our legal framework evolve in order to protect democratic life from fake news. A draft law on this subject will be introduced shortly. During electoral campaigns, online content will no longer have the same rules.
Well, if the president gets his way, a lot of rules will be changing in 2018. And with a weak opposition, a majority in parliament, and an overall positive approval rating, there's not a lot standing in his way.
So what's on the horizon, Molly? Well, there's a new law on immigration and asylum. Macron is driving to harden France's policy and increase expulsions of economic migrants. According to the government's plan, the time spent in holding centers will be extended from 45 to 90 days. The government plans to increase the number of spaces available in these centers, as well as the number of border patrols. Meanwhile, the delay for asking for asylum will be reduced from 14 to 6 months.
We cannot host everyone, and we cannot do it without rules. It is also essential to be able to check the identity of everyone. And when someone is entering our territory does not come under the category of asylum seeker and has no chance of obtaining French nationality, we cannot accept that he or she remains months or years in a situation of limbo, which is neither good for him nor for the country.
Now, the plan has already drawn criticism from charities and even from some inside Macron's own political party.
Immigration detention centres are becoming prisons and are unworthy of our French Republic.
So then the immigration policy goes too far for some, but it's been praised by others on the political right. The mayor of Nice, Christian Estrosi, who's known for being on the far right of the Conservative Party, tweeted, "When it comes to immigration, the president of the Republic has gone further than the right ever could. I can only salute him."
Now, there are other hot-button issues on the agenda, such as reforming France's generous unemployment benefit and pension system in order to boost the economy. This is an ambitious plan that could drive demonstrators to the streets.
His overhaul of France's labor code may have triggered massive street protests in 2017, but Emmanuel Macron is just getting started. The French president has vowed to push on with a series of ambitious economic reforms. First on the agenda, Macron wants to invest 15 billion euros to transform France's professional training system. He aims to make existing programs more efficient and more accessible to young people and underqualified workers. Macron also intends to overhaul the country's unemployment benefits, extending them to freelancers and employees who quit their jobs. The reform, which will cost an estimated 1.4 billion euros a year, also aims to tighten conditions for these subsidies, a sticking point that's likely to trigger more popular backlash. Another highly sensitive topic, the president aims to change France's pension system to make it more homogeneous, notably by smoothing out differences between the pensions of state and private sector employees. Macron's government, which has set out a new budget for 2018 that will trim taxes and public spending, is also expected to present a new pro-business bill to Parliament by spring.
Well, also on the agenda for the first half of this year, a new law on sexual violence and street harassment. France's gender equality minister, Marlène Schiappa, has been tasked to write the bill. It's expected to set a minimum age of consent for minors, and it could make catcalling in the streets a punishable offense.
While the parliament is gearing up for some heated debates, other pressing matters are shaking up the agenda as well. The government has promised to crack down on urban violence. This after 2 police officers were attacked by young people on New Year's Eve. Now, the Prime Minister, Edouard Philippe, has vowed severe sanctions after shocking video footage of the incident emerged.
I think it's essential to have more officers on the street, a lot more police on the ground. That's what we vowed to do by hiring more policemen. More officers on the ground, simplified, quicker procedures, more severity, and I insist, more penal and judicial severity in regards to this kind of attitude. All these responses will form part of a solution.
Well, next month, new pilot schemes in local policing are set to begin following a large-scale consultation with security forces. And on top of this, President Macron has vowed to fight poverty in underprivileged neighborhoods after critics labeled him the president of the rich. He reached out to lower-income classes in his New Year's message, promising a grand social project in 2018.
Another big decision to expect from the government concerns the controversial Notre-Dame-des-Landes airport project. This is a story that doesn't get that much attention outside of France, but it's been a huge domestic story for over a decade.
That's right, Flo. Now, the Notre-Dame-des-Landes airport is supposed to replace the current airport for Nantes and also serve as an international gateway for Western France. The 580 million euro plan was approved in 2008 and construction was supposed to start in 2014. But it was delayed after strong opposition.
And in June, a local referendum was held and a majority of the local population approved the airport transfer. Prime Minister Edouard Philippe is scheduled to meet with local officials to discuss the matter. He said that no matter what the government's decision is, it will be, quote, tough.
Meanwhile, the central government is bracing itself for a potential standoff with Corsica. Last month, the Nationalist Alliance, PA Corsica, won a majority in the new regional assembly. They say this gives them a clear mandate to ask for more freedoms for the Mediterranean island.
Now, their main demands are several things. First of all, they want to give the Corsican language the same status as French. They also want to grant amnesty to jailed Corsican nationalists and restrict people from other parts of France from buying property on the holiday island. Macron says that he wants to open a dialogue, something the new president of the Corsican Assembly is hoping for.
We want, without pressure, without denying anything, to be able to establish a dialogue, a constructive dialogue between Corsica and Paris.
So a hint of optimism there, which could be surprising given France's reputation for being somewhat pessimistic. But it does look possibly like change is in the air. This, as you can read from this headline, which says the French are resigned to optimism.
And in fact, a new poll shows that 59% of the French were optimistic for 2018. That's the highest level since 2010 and 15 points higher than a slump in 2012. The poll showed that those on the far-right National Front were the most pessimistic, while unsurprisingly, perhaps, the supporters of President Emmanuel Macron's party were the most optimistic.
Well, we'll end there on that positive note. Thanks for joining us here on The Political Brief.
And a Happy New Year from all of us here at France 24.